Hi folks, in previous parts of this series on the Scottish Enlightenment, we discovered how the introduction of education for the general population of Scotland, followed by huge improvements in the economy after the union with England, had led to an outpouring of intellectual, scientific and industrial ideas that were at the forefront of the development of our modern era. Educated Scots then made major impacts in many areas with groundbreaking discoveries and inventions that really did invent the modern world. As we arrived at the start of the 20th century, however, Scotland's influence had begun to wane, but by then the seeds of our modern world were well and truly sowed, and Scotland itself had prospered greatly. Glasgow, which not that long ago had been a small village, was now an industrial giant. The mighty North British Locomotive Company, based in the city, famously supplied steam locomotives all around the globe. And Glasgow's renowned shipbuilders on the River Clyde turned out at least 1/5 of all shipping produced anywhere across the world. The gigantic Singer sewing machine factory in Clydebank on the west side of Glasgow employed more than 10,000 workers and was the biggest and most efficient sewing machine factory in the world. Many of the machines it shipped are still in use today somewhere around the globe. And over in Paisley on the southwest side of Glasgow, Coats Paton was the largest cotton making company in the world, dominating 80% of the global market. And Scots men and women had flourished around the world in the fields of science, medicine, politics, banking and industry, developing new industries and methods, driving innovation, and all with a relentless quest to improve life. For remember, the Scottish Enlightenment's main thrust had always been to create a polite, humane, enlightened society with liberty at its heart. In this way, all mankind would thrive. But remember, a very important part of the Scottish Enlightenment was the new ideas and inventions spawned by them were all backed up by rigid disciplines. Common sense to them was the guide to understanding. Experience was the best source of knowledge. And new scientific or industrial methods were first firmly tested via experiments and trials. However, as Scotland moved through the 20th century and into the 21st, many of the ideals of the Enlightenment that had created such a successful small country began to be lost or forgotten. Our hard-headed approach to developing new ways, new systems, new processes started to waver. Our belief in self-belief that we could do things appeared to be lost and was replaced by blaming others for all our ills. Our education system became a far cry from the one that was admired around the world. And we struggled to adapt to changing trends and methods which other countries readily took on board. And we replaced the rigid discipline of following facts and logic with myths, legends and symbols. Now, I'm not saying the modern world Scotland did so much to create is perfect, far from it. But I do genuinely believe our liberal, democratic, industrialised society has benefited far more people across the globe than any other. And I think history clearly shows it is our best hope for the future. We have unfortunately too often seen and are still seeing the true horrors of brutal authoritarian rule. But what Scotland, and I would argue the whole world, urgently needs now is a new enlightenment, one that would bring our world society up to date with our present day needs. The giants of the Scottish Enlightenment would be shocked, I think, if they visited their country today. But perhaps by going back to the fundamentals of the Scottish Enlightenment, we can change that. By looking honestly at the problems we face today. By focusing our intellectual and scientific minds on finding common sense workable solutions. By bravely telling the truth and by standing up for liberty in all its forms. If we can do this, then I firmly believe that we in Scotland could once again play a major role in helping to lead the world into a brand new enlightened era, one where the pursuit of happiness could be a realistic aim for all the world's citizens. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this series on the Scottish Enlightenment and the impact it's had on our world, and all that's left for me is to wish you all the very best from Scotland.